Hi everyone, I'm April, and I'm kicking the camera again. Aggie, you're just like in a weird spot. Hi everyone, I'm April, and you're watching the Tangled Cat Speaks. And today is Thanksgiving Day 2019. So don't worry, it's not like I'm sitting here podcasting and not enjoying family time. I am actually alone right now. And this is because my kids don't live with me anymore. Well, my daughter is staying with me on and off right now. But my two boys are not here. And so we decided that we were going to get together, but we just couldn't do it today. So we ended up doing our Thanksgiving celebration this past Saturday. So I already did all of the cooking turkey and all of the fixings and playing bingo and being silly. And my sister came over with her husband. My son brought his girlfriend, and my other son brought his best friend and roommate. And my mom, obviously she was here, and we just had a blast. And we made a revelation. Because like I said, we played bingo for Thanksgiving after dinner, and just all trying to have a good time and interact with one another, because it's spend quality time with your family. So we pulled out a bingo game. It has the little basket or little cage or whatever for the numbers, the balls, and somebody spins it and calls out the numbers, and everybody's got their bingo cards and stuff. Well, the thing is, my mom, I was born on New Year's Eve. It turns out that when my mom was pregnant with me on New Year's Eve, she and my dad were at a casino, and my mom was playing bingo that night. So here she is, 9 months pregnant, in the end of 1971, and she was playing bingo. And the story goes that her water broke, and she wouldn't leave. She didn't want to go. She figured it was going to take a while to actually have the baby, and she wanted to finish her bingo game, and she had to be escorted out by my dad and my uncle, and they needed to take her to the hospital, and she was like, no, I want to finish my bingo game. So here we are 47 years later, and actually almost 48. Oh God, I'm going to be 48 next month. Oh my goodness, I'm almost 50. Not really. I am, but I don't really care. I don't mind that I'm aging. Anyway, so here we are playing bingo for Thanksgiving, and lo and behold, who didn't win the most games? My mother. It was so funny. We just couldn't stop laughing. But once my sister made the connection, she's like, she's at your house for Thanksgiving. We're playing bingo, and you were almost born in a bingo hall. So we just laughed and laughed. So it was kind of funny. But anyway, that's a little insight into my world. So we already did our Thanksgiving stuff. So here I am alone because my daughter is spending the day with her boyfriend, which I'm very glad, because it snowed like crazy here in New Mexico last night, and she was with him, decided to play it safe and stay there instead of trying to drive in it, because it just got bad super quick. And so she's not here. And last night, well, late afternoon, my sister had come and decided to pick up my mom so that she could spend Thanksgiving at their house. My other sister, not the one that came to visit me. I've got two sisters. And so she went to go stay with her for Thanksgiving. We decided to go ahead and pack her enough clothes for the weekend, because we knew it was snowing and we wasn't sure how bad it was going to be, and they might end up having to stay stuck in their home. So we packed enough clothes to make sure my mom had stuff for the weekend just in case. So she took my mom. My daughter, like I said, stayed with her boyfriend. My boys are at their houses. So I'm here by myself with Aggie, who looks like a very peaceful, sweet, loving cat right now. And most of the time she is. However, I have mentioned she can get very cranky and grumpy, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point she decides to get up and wander around and get all up in my business, or go around and start meowing at the top of her lungs, howling, yowling, whatever you want to call it, because she is older and she's 16. And for whatever reason, it seems like every couple of hours she's just demanding to be fed. It's insane. She just has this really ugly yowl that I have read that older cats tend to do that. But oh my gosh, sometimes it gets to be so annoying. So right now, at this particular moment, I am thankful that she is relaxing. And it's because I just fed her about maybe 20 minutes ago. So I fed her about an hour early because I knew I wanted, excuse me, my nose is itching. I knew that I wanted to podcast now that I've got some quiet time and everything. So I fed her an hour early. I keep waving this around, I'll explain. So she's all nice and comfortable right now. So hopefully she won't start yowling for a little while. So you might notice I'm in a different place. I'm usually podcasting from my bed in my bedroom. Today I'm not. I'm in the living room. Mostly because my bedroom is a disaster area. I have laundry that needs to be put away. My bed doesn't even have sheets, and it hasn't had sheets on for a few days now. Probably longer than that. If you really know me, you know that it's probably closer to months. I don't like laundry. I don't like laundry. I do laundry. I wash it. I can wash it all day long. Wash it, dry it, but putting it away is not my favorite thing. So my room is a disaster area, and I really didn't feel like being in there today. So I'm off 4 days this weekend, today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. And so I'm definitely going to take one of those days and just clean out that room, because it really is stifling in there because it's just so cluttered right now. So I didn't want to podcast in there today. So I'm in my living room. So that's why it looks a little different. But this means that she can sit in her normal spot. This is usually where she sits when I'm here. So we're together. You get to see a little more of Aggie, but she is sleeping. So this thing that I keep waving around is my phone case. I actually really love this thing. I got it off of Amazon, and I really didn't mean to talk about this, but I'm fidgety. I don't know why, but my hands are fidgety, and I just took the case off my phone so that I can record. And so it's sitting here right next to me, so I picked it up, and I tend to talk with my hands anyway, but now I've got this in my hand, so I just thought I would explain. However, I do love this case. I love this brand, Velvet Caviar. The pop socket is from some shop on Etsy, but I love this case, and I just got a new phone. I got the Samsung Galaxy S10e. I upgraded from the S8. And I had this same brand and the same color of case on my other phone, and I loved it so much. So luckily, the Velvet Caviar brand on Amazon had the same thing for the S10e. So I was super excited. My son rolled his eyes at me. My daughter rolled her eyes at me. My other son rolled his eyes at me because they didn't understand why I needed to have the exact same colored case on my phone, but I love it so much. It's so, so pretty. And they have a bunch of different ones, but this is the one I fell in love with. And I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, I have to have something different all the time. Literally, because I had that S8 for several years, and the only reason why I got rid of it is because it wasn't holding a charge anymore. And, you know, my kids are like, oh my gosh, you're eligible for an upgrade. Let's get a new phone. And I'm like, why? This one works. I don't need a new one. So finally, my son was so excited. He went with me to get this phone. And he's like, it's about time. So he was excited about it. I'm just like, just get me a phone. That's all. Just get me a phone. I don't care what it is, as long as it's got a good camera. And I'm happy. So So I have this. I'm waving it around. I'm going to put it down now. I'm going to actually just toss it over there. I meant to hit the ottoman and I just hit the floor. So anyways, I'm going to talk about what I'm drinking real quick. I'm going to put in a picture here of one of the things that I really love to make, not just for Thanksgiving, but just anytime, and my kids really love it. It's slices of jicama, and if you've never had jicama, it's a root vegetable. It's not quite as starchy as a potato, and it tastes similar to me. I don't know if you've ever heard of Asian pears. It's got the texture of a crunchy pear, but it's got that nutty taste of an Asian pear particularly. Just very subtly sweet, a little bit nutty. Very delicious, crunchy. So I chopped that up, sliced that up real small, and I sliced up some strawberries, got a lemon, squeezed it over, and put about, just enough sugar to start drawing out the juices within the strawberry. So such a refreshing snack or dessert or whatever. And so I had made that for Thanksgiving. But yeah, I ended up with a lot of extra strawberries and jicama. So I went ahead and made some more today. So that's what I was snacking on earlier. And I had some lemon, the lemon that I used, the fresh lemon. I threw that in my mug, put some hot water, and I have some of this. It's called the Secret Garden Tea. And it comes in this little tin, this pretty little yellow and green tin, and it's lemon ginger green tea. So I threw the lemon rinds in the water with the tea bag, and then I added some honey. So, and this is a huge mug. I would probably use this more for soup because it's huge, but I felt like cats today. So I went ahead and put it all in here. So it's delicious. It's yum. No sense in throwing away a good freshly squeezed lemon. It's still got some flavor in there. I do know that you gotta take it out right away though, because if you leave it in too long, I've noticed, and I don't like it, is it starts to get a bitter flavor if it's in the hot water too long from the rind. So anyway, that's that. But in that dessert, the jicama and the strawberry, the juices from the strawberries get drawn out because of the sugar and the lemon. The jicama doesn't really do anything except add crunch, which is fabulous. It's so delicious. But after you're done serving up all of your strawberry and jicama, you end up with this syrup at the bottom. And I have a whole bunch left. It's still sitting in there marinating. It is so good to use that syrup to sweeten your tea. So I'm definitely going to be doing that later too. Delicious. So I actually don't have a whole lot of things done. I only have 2 finished objects. One of them I don't have with me because I gave it to my sister. She came over about a month ago and just to visit, and we ended up somehow in my yarn room, and she decided she wanted a scarf. I had crocheted her a scarf several years ago, and she wanted one exactly like it, just a different color. So we went into my yarn room and she picked out a color, and I did crochet that for her. And it's a simple seed stitch scarf, just knit back and forth until it's long enough. I used literally the entire skein. It was a 400 yards of fingering weight, and I used a size F hook. I don't remember the millimeters, but it's a US F hook, and I think it was something like 38 or 40 stitches. I can't remember if it was even or odd. I think it was odd actually. So it might have been 39. Anyway, so I did the chainless single crochet foundation. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. So that makes the end more stretchy, because I know that when you crochet, sometimes your foundation chain ends up a little bit tighter on that edge, as the rest of the project. So I did the single crochet chainless foundation, and then I just did the crochet seed stitch is what I believe it's called. I just did that back and forth all the way until I had only a couple of yards left of the yarn. And then I where are my words? And then I stitched them, the two ends together. I used this time a mattress stitch, the same as you would for, you know, like sleeves or seaming up garments. I've never done the mattress stitch before, ever. And I decided to try it, so I found a video on YouTube, did the mattress stitch, and it came out so nice. My sister actually noticed, because in the first scarf, I used a crocheted slip stitch to join, and there's a little bit of a ridge on that. And so she noticed, she was looking at it, and she was like, this is so pretty. But wait, and she kept like turning it, trying to find the seam. Finally, she did notice where it was slightly different, but the mattress stitch just laid so flat. The only way you can tell it's there is if you really look and you can see that it's not in the seed stitch in that area. So she actually noticed it, and I was like, I've learned some things over the years. I was super excited. But the yarn, I remember. I was going to say I don't remember, but I do. It's Little Vixen yarn, or no, Little Fox yarn. And I think the yarn base is called Vixen. And then the color is Birds and Ships. And this was the yarn that I got in one of my Indian Tangled Wear We Knit subscription installments. So if and when I ever get to the cowl that came with that yarn, it'll definitely have to be another yarn, because I just used all of it for this scarf. But she loved the color. I let her choose whatever. Anything that was superwash, I told her, because I don't like giving gifts to people that they have to really be careful of how they wash it. So she did the little, I think it's Little Fox yarn, and it's the Vixen base. And it was 400 yards, superwash merino, I believe. And I think it had some silk in it. Beautiful teal, green, and gray variegated color, but it's just so subtle. It looks, and because of the silk, I'm assuming, it just looks shiny, but not obnoxious shiny. It's so pretty, and I got that done rather quickly. So I was super happy about that. When she came this past Saturday for our Thanksgiving get together, I went ahead and gave it to her, and she was so happy, and I was so happy that she was so happy, and it was great. So my daughter was excited watching me make that scarf, that she decided she wanted to make one for herself. So I let her pick some yarn, which she chose something darker, and I can't remember which yarn it was. Oh yes, I do. It was a, what is it? It's an M. Madeline Tosh. I kept thinking Malabrigo, but it wasn't. It was Madeline Tosh Light. And it was one of the, Madeline Tosh did a while back yarns, like semi-precious stones. They named some of their yarns. And I remember they were doing a kit, a set of yarns that were in these semi-precious stones, because there was a designer who, unfortunately I can't remember right now, was doing a knit along for their pattern using those semi-precious stones yarns. I think it's even got semi-precious stones in the title of the knitting pattern, the shawl pattern. I never made the pattern. I didn't end up caring for it too much. But I had all the yarn, and I ended up liking one of the colors so much that I bought a full skein of it. But when I got it, it was much, much darker than the original one. So it's okay. It's still beautiful, but I just remember that's what it was. It was a much, much darker. I don't remember the name. If I can find it, I will put it up here, but I think I might have gotten rid of the tag when I wound up the yarn for my daughter. So long story short, she chose that color. So she's working on it within the same thing, the crochet seed stitch. My daughter doesn't knit, but she's she's a beginner crocheter and she's enjoying it. But she had to pull it out. She got, oh gosh, she got almost a foot and a half, and then realized at some point that it was much narrower than it was at the beginning. She somehow kept missing some stitches, so it was slowly going in. I think she started again with somewhere around 38 stitches and had gotten down all the way to 32. So it was much, much narrower. So I pulled back as far as I could, and we went over the techniques again. And so she started it, but now she's kind of put it off to the side. I think she got a little disgruntled, poor thing. But she's doing it. You know, she's getting there. She takes it to her job where sometimes she has some downtime. Excuse me, hiccups. And she'll work on it here and there. So it just makes me happy that she's even thinking about trying, because it was always something that I wanted to pass on to her. I tried teaching my boys to knit when they were really little, and they liked it for about a month. And now I couldn't get them to do it again if I tried. So that's that. Where was I going with that? Oh my goodness, I don't know. Anyway, so she was crocheting. So that's one of the things I worked on, was that scarf for my sister. Then I went back to the shawl scarfish thing that I was making. It was intended to be a shawl, but I think it's a little too narrow for what I would consider a shawl. I can still cover my shoulders with it, but I did mention the last time that I wanted to try and make it again sometime, changing the numbers and changing the sequencing of the colors and stuff like that. The color changes, how the color changes are done. But I did finish it. This was using an advent calendar, and I totally meant to look up her name. Crystals Dye something. I'll have to put it up here, and I totally meant to look it up before I got on, and then I got distracted. It happens. But this is one that I bought, an advent that I bought last year in 2018, and I had it sitting there knowing I was going to make it for 2019. Because I bought it after Advent, so she still had some available, and I bought it then. So it just kind of sat. And I ended up, because I was mentioning this pattern that I was doing, it was I've mentioned it before, it's using that, I call it Skype. I don't know if that's really what it is, but it's a slip one stitch, knit one stitch, yarn over, and then pass that slip stitch over both the knit and the yarn over. And you just keep doing that across, and then you just purl on the way back. So I was doing that, but because, like I said, I made it more narrow than I had wanted to, it ended up being crazy long. And the advent that I had gotten was 24 20-gram minis of fingering weight yarn. So it's approximately 91 or 92 yards per mini. And I had 24 of them, and there was no way. It was crazy long. I stopped, I believe this is 17. So this is the beginning right there. And it's super pretty. I did it on the bias. And that's about half. And then here's the other half. So I stopped at 17 because it's crazy long. This is definitely longer than my wingspan. So definitely, if I'm going to do this again with the same amount of yarn, I'm going to have to make this a little wider so that it's not quite so long. Because this, I would say, is about close to 80 inches. There she goes. What is she going to knock down? Because I have all kinds of stuff here. You're adorable, Aggie, but I'm nervous. What are you going to do? What are you going to knock down? Anyway, so this is about 80 inches long at 17 colors. So the other 7 colors I had to decide to do something else with. I might as well just move it because she's going to do something crazy. Are you going to go or are you going to stay? Should I stay or should I go now? Can I put my stuff back down, or are you just going to hover there like a creepy gargoyle? All right, we'll put that there. So I stopped at 17. I got all my ends tucked in just yesterday. I love it. So I decided I'm going to be wearing this more as a scarf, which is long enough to be just the perfect long scarf. And because it's fingering weight, it can be squishy around the neck. How I wore it the other day, because before this snowstorm came in, it was crazy windy, ridiculously windy and biting cold. So I doubled it up and then stuck the ends through the little loop there. And I was so warm and snuggly in my big coat, and my neck was protected. And so I think it works. It's not something that I'm going to say, oh, well, that was a fail. Not a fail, just not what I envisioned. So I love it. It's super bright and it's happy and joyous in this gray weather. Don't get me wrong. I love gray weather. I love an overcast day. I love the snow. I love looking at it. I don't want to be in it. I got old bones. It's too cold for that. So I finished that. I haven't written any of it up. I think I'm going to make the second one and see how that goes. Make the wider, slightly shorter version, trying to use all the colors. So with those 7 colors I ended up not using, I decided that I wanted to make a DK weight shawl. So I was going to double them. So this is actually 6. This is 6. This is 6 of the colors. And what I did was the first color, I'm going to be holding 2 fingering weights to make a DK weight for this shawl. And I got the minis, and the first mini that I decided to use, which is this solid pink here. Anyway, it's like a very neon pink. I didn't quite, I cut it into 2 little balls, one slightly bigger than the other. And I started winding it on my ball winder. And when the short end ended, I added the next mini skein. And then when the other end ended, I added in the next skein. So it kind of, they start blending, and it's kind of hard to see how they blended in this, but you can definitely tell there's a rainbow, not a rainbow, but like a transitioning going on here. As they're knitting though, you're going to be able to see where the colors sort of blended, because I would have the solid pink, and then I had a pink and a creamy color, and then I had a creamy color, and then like a grayish color with some speckles, and then they just kind of, as one ended, I added in the other one. And then when I got to the very end, I ended up with this yellow, and I just wound those 2 yellows up until finished. So you can see I didn't even cut it. It's still, because I folded it up on itself towards the end as I was winding this up. So we're going to see how that works. I think it's going to look really, really pretty. So basically it's like a marling effect where I've got 2 different colors, and they're going to be twisted around each other. But I did the staggering lengths of colors by starting the first color with one longer than the other. If that makes any kind of sense, I hope it does, but that's what I did. So I've got this big fat cake of 2 fingering weight yarns held together that I'm going to use as a DK. And then I have a whole bunch of knit pick stroll yarn, which is also fingering weight. And I got 2 of these. This is called Jackrabbit Heather. And you can see there's the 2 strands. I went ahead and caked them up together. And I was going to make a shawl with this as the top part of the shawl, the top part of the triangle. And then this I'm going to put at the bottom edge. And it's going to probably make like a stripe effect because of the way that the minis kind of make a long shifting color. So I'm hoping, this is what I'm envisioning. I don't know if that's exactly how it's going to work out, but that's what I'm envisioning. I hope that I made an educated guess on that. I hope it's going to work out. So I'm going to do this part of the shawl. It's going to be a triangle shawl. This is going to be a basically stockinette, but I don't know if I'm going to add in some kind of texture stitches, because this is super pretty. I think it's going to pick up some texture stitches really well, but I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do with that. But basically stockinette, like a stockinette background. This is going to be garter, because I really want the colors to sort of blend together, and I don't want there to be any stark color change lines. So I think that's going to work best in garter. Now, I do have more of this. So most of this is going to go to the main part. This is going to go to the end. I haven't decided if I want to add this also again at the bottom with maybe a lace panel, a lace edging. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm going to be basically winging it. That's what I'm going to do with that. So that was 6 of the other colors that I didn't use. Then the last one I got really matched some leftovers and a mini that I had just there because, you know, I got stuff. So this dark green, actually, no, the one that I'm talking about, this here, this color here that's sort of grayish, brownish with some greens and yellows, that was the mini, the last mini from the Advent. I had this sparkly green. This is a Pandia's Jewels yarn. I can't remember the base. And I think it was called Elder Tree, I believe. This one here is also Pandia's Jewels. This was a snug base. This was part of what she calls Happy Kits. I can't see it anymore. And it's 5 50-gram skeins. But I don't believe that she named the individual colors within the kit, but this is like a sagey green. And then I've got some, what is that? I think this is Grizzly Heather. It's a stroll yarn, this brown here. So what I did was I got the mini from the Advent and all of these other minis that I had, and I divided them up in half. And then I caked it up so that it comes, so that it's going to repeat itself. So it's going to be the same. You're going to have the green and the green. I'm going to make a cowl. Sorry, my phone is doing weird things. It's probably going to cut right here. Okay, so it's going to have the 2 greens at the top and bottom edge of the cowl. Then it's going to have the sage green. Then it's going to have the grizzly, or somewhere. I think, actually, no, I think it's the mini from the Advent, then the grizzly. Then it's going to go back out. It's going to basically work from the center. The color changes, you know. It's going to look the same from the top or the bottom. So if I were to wear this cowl upside down, it wouldn't look any different. Again, I don't feel like I'm making any sense, but it makes sense in my head. So this is going to be a cowl, and I've actually decided which cowl I wanted to do. And I don't remember the name of the designer, but I will put it up here. But this is the Frothed Milk Cowl. It's going to be sometime in the future, and I don't know when in the future, which is why I left myself a note of why I specifically did this. The Frothed Milk Cowl. So some point in the future, I'm going to have this pretty green cowl. So that was the end of the 2008 Advent, which obviously I didn't knit on Advent. I was actually hoping to get the shawl design done so that I can publish it so that people could make it for this year's Advent. That's why I started that so early. But that's not going to work out because I do need to tweak it some more. So who knows? And I may end up not making it specifically in Advent, maybe more of a stash buster kind of design, because I think it's going to look beautiful all the time, all year round, with any colors, not just specifically Advent, although it's going to definitely work that way. Isn't that a pretty little stack of stuff? I love it. And look at that green, it has so much sparkle in it. Makes me think of Christmas. And yes, I have been playing Pentatonic's Christmas music since September. Like I said, we did our Thanksgiving last Saturday, which my kids were very upset that I was playing Christmas music, and it wasn't even the real Thanksgiving, the calendar appointed Thanksgiving, but I was doing it anyway. I was playing the music. It's who I am, what I do. So yeah, I love that sparkle. I can't get over the sparkle in it. I can't remember if it's her glitz base or super sparkle. Super pretty though. So another thing that I started doing, and it's going to take me a bit because I started quite a few things. I started another crochet project, and this is using Knit Picks. Knit Picks Brava. It's their worsted weight acrylic. And they have these mini kits. They're minis. I can't remember how many colors come in each kit, but they had blues, they had reds, they had one called Rainbow, and then they had one called Jewel. I got all 4 kits, and some of those colors repeated themselves. I didn't know what I was going to make with them. I just bought them because they were super gorgeous. Then I decided I wanted to make a blanket. And I got I think it's called the Bright Squares blanket, but I'll put the name of the designer up here. And it calls for 6 colors. No. No, I'm lying. 9 colors. It calls for 9 colors. But I had these packets of minis from Knit Picks, and some of the colors repeated. There wasn't enough of any one color to say that's going to be color A and that's going to be color B, and so on and so forth. So I divided the whole, I tore open all 4 of the kits, and I divided them into different color groups, color families. And I don't have I have them separated all into big Ziploc baggies, but I divided the colors into color groups as opposed to a single color. And so that's how I'm making them. So this is the bright squares. So far I've only gotten the large squares done. This is my stack of squares. Look at my ends. I should put little bells on them and just jingle it. But I think this is one of my favorites. It's very interesting. But you can see some of the colors I had enough to do to make each square identical. But like on this set, there's supposed to be 5 of this square. And if you look closely, all of these, it's supposed to be oranges, like rusty colors. Right here it's looking kind of red and brown. But they're all different shades of a rusty color. But they were in the same color family, so when it called for color D or whatever, I pulled from that bag, and then I just used the color till it ended. So say these 2, there was enough. Then I did these 2, and then I had to pull the 3rd color from that same bag to be able to make it through. So this is going to be maybe not quite as cohesive as far as colors go in the blanket, but I don't care. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild, and I'm going to love it right up until the moment I have to seam everything together. So I did all the large squares. Now there's going to be a whole bunch of, and I think these are, what is it, 7 rounds per square. And the smaller squares, I think, are only 3 rounds. So I have a lot of little squares to do. I actually am planning on taking them to work at work on my downtime. So we shall see. But that's one of the things that I was working on. Let's just put these here until the cat decides she wants to take that place back. And then I found, just the other day, I found, who posted it? Somebody posted it on Instagram, and I want to say that it was Leslie from Not Quite Enough Yarn, podcast. I think it was her. I could be making that up, but I'm pretty sure it was her. And she posted that a person named Francoise, and I think it's Aroha Knits is her name on Instagram, was doing a 5 shawls 5-day challenge, and I thought I could do that. I want to try. And what it ended up being is teaching you about the different shapes of how shawls are made, the different techniques to make the different shapes. So I got that, and I am familiar with making triangle shawls and whatever, but I don't know how to do it without a pattern, except for your basic triangle. Which, so I did the first 2 days. Yesterday was day 3. I didn't do day 3, but I'm going to do day 3 and day 4 today. And so you follow the little instructions, and then you block it, and it's just leftover yarns is what I'm doing. This was day 1. So it's just your basic triangle. Super easy. And then she did give tips on how to do variations of that same shape. Then this was the crescent. Oh, my lighting is terrible. I think I'm doing these on a size 6. It's fingering weight. I think I'm doing them on a 6. But so that's the crescent shape. Never mind my bad blocking decisions, because I've got a couple of points on it. But it turned out really cool. Perfect little shape. And then day 3 and day 4, I haven't looked at the emails yet, because she's sending you emails with the instructions on every day. And I haven't looked at day 4 or day 3 yet. But I'm planning on pinning these up in my cubicle at work, just to have them there. And I'm using some of the different leftovers from the Advent, I think it was the Adventurous. I can't remember if it was Adventurous or Adventurer shawl. It's the one with the 2 triangles that are kind of opposite. Not the one on the bias. Anyway, these were the leftover yarns from that shawl. And I was planning on doing something scrappy with these, but there's a few of them that are really small like this. But I've got a couple that ended up with a lot more left over. So those are the ones I'm using for this, so that I'll still have some to do something scrappy with all of these. So that's what I've been working on at work after I finished that scarf for my sister. Once I get through those, then I'll probably start taking the blanket squares to work and do those there. And another thing that I got, I haven't started it yet. I'm trying to be so good. I'm trying to be good. But I got another Advent this year. Sorry, my face is zooming or coming in at you. Actually, I think I got the names wrong. The Advent that I told you was Crystal something. I think this is the Crystal something. I'll have to put the name here, and the other one might have been, Vicky. Vicky was the one that I got from 2018 for that scarf. I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry. But it's not like it doesn't happen every single episode. And so I'm going to be making something with all of these, and she's got them cutely little labeled. These are Harry Potter themed for this Advent. Super excited to get started on something with that. Pretty sure I'm going to be crocheting that one though. So I don't know. I haven't crocheted in a long time, but lately in the past few months, it's all I seem to want to do is crochet. So there is one other thing that I'm going to talk about. This is getting long. Lemony. So I had mentioned Amber Crawley, who is the dyer behind the Maker's Haven yarn shop. She does dyeing. Lately she's been upgrading her little shop to have cute little accessories and stuff like that. So She's also an author, and she did the On Luna Time book that I talked about so much a little while back. She did the sequel to that, and this one is In Light of Luna. And she had sent in, I got the book box. And I'm not going to talk about the gifts that she got, but they were very cute. Just in case people haven't quite opened theirs yet, which I don't know who hasn't. But just in case, I'm not going to mention the goodies that came in the book box other than the yarn. So if you haven't opened your yarn, look away now, because this was in the book box. And I've added another yarn to it because I wanted to make a shawl. So the shawl that I'm making is called the Half Moon Oracle Shawl by Kristen Lair. And I chose that one. I specifically went looking for something that had moon or Luna in it because of the name of the book. So you can see this is blues and this golds and this dusty color. Oh, almost dropped it. So what ended up happening is she sent 2 50-gram skeins of fingering weight yarn. So one is this dark bluish color, and it's got little hints of purple and fuchsia in there. And then there's this other one that's more of a solid. It looks a little pink there, but it's not pink. It's just a pale beige. So that's what came in. And then I had some of this stroll yarn from Pandia's Jewels that I wanted to incorporate. And I thought it was going to go really well. What is the name of it? I think this is called Sands of Time. That was the colorway from the Pandia's Jewels. And so it's super pretty speckled yarn. I chose it because it's got that same kind of base as this solid color. And there are thrown in here and there little pops of navy. So I thought it was going to go really, really well in a shawl. So this shawl, I don't know why I picked it other than the fact that it had the name Moon in it, but it has brioche, and I don't find brioche difficult, but I'm not a big fan of working it. It's okay. I'm almost done with the biggest brioche section, but this is where I'm at. You can see there's a lace section in between. The first brioche had the solid color. The second brioche is using the speckled color. So this is where I'm at. I should be done already if I was actually keeping up with the cal that Amber Crowley of Maker's Haven was hosting. I think today, or no, I think at the end of the month is supposed to be the finish, and she's going to do a live Instagram feed, and she's going to talk about stuff, I'm assuming about the book and how everybody enjoyed her yarn and her gift book box and all of that. So I'm super excited. She did that before and it was really fun. So I hope I get a chance to get involved in that one again. But I don't know if I'm actually working that day or not. So hopefully it ends up at a time that I can participate, because it's going to be super fun. She's super sweet. I adore her. She's just so cute. So that's all of the knitting stuff that I've done. I had mentioned, she tried jumping up and she totally missed. I had mentioned I wanted to read Practical Magic, but I ended up starting with the prequel that Alice Hoffman had written, and I finished that in the last podcast I talked about it. That was, oh, the name just slipped my mind. I don't remember. The Rules of Magic. So I finally got from my library Practical Magic. Now, I've mentioned that I've seen this movie 8,000 times because I love it. But I've never read the book. So I finally got it. As soon as I finish In Light of Luna, I'm going to get to Practical Magic. Do you hear it? It's annoying. It is so obnoxious. Aggie! Very obnoxious. It's okay. It's okay. She doesn't mean it. I literally have to convince myself every minute that she does that she can't help it. Because it is so obnoxious. Oh, give me strength. So, don't get me wrong. I love her. I adore her. But it does get on the nerves from time to time. So that's that book, or those books. I have been listening to Shadow of the Wind, and I don't want to mess up the author's name because I know I will. It's 3 names. I know I'll mess it up, so I'm going to put it up here. But it's such a good book. And I know that I listened to it before. It's on my Audible account, but I just felt like listening to it again, and I'm still enjoying it. I enjoy it as much as I did the first time. So I'm listening to that right now. I listened to The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher, which I had listened to in the past as well. But again, another great book. That one's more of a biographical book, I guess, maybe. It's not fiction. It just talks about a particular case that this detective back in the late 1800s did, and nobody believed him who the actual killer was. And then several years after the person he thought was the killer confessed, and by that point his career was basically ruined, because who he accused, it just seemed unheard of. And so his great detective career kind of went down the tubes. So it's a really interesting story, especially because I love murder mysteries, and a lot of murder mystery characters were based off of him, and the whole description of him that was all over the news at that time, newspapers. So a lot of detective stories basically came about because of Jonathan Witcher. They kind of used him as a template, and then it kind of went from there. And now we've got all of these great detective stories and stuff like that. So it's awesome. It was really good to re-listen to that. So that's what I'm listening to. On my Kindle, I'm reading Goddess Interrupted, which is the 3rd one in this Goddess series by Amy Carter. Really enjoying that. I'm taking that one kind of slow, just here and there, because I really, like I said, I've been really into crochet, and that's really all I want to do lately. So there's that. I haven't been watching a whole lot of TV except for How to Get Away with Murder, which my son comes and watches with me whenever it's on, but I think that's about to end soon, and it's the final season, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? It's so captivating. I love that show. And then, of course, I've been watching The Masked Singer, and I don't think they did one this week. I was very bummed, so I gotta wait for next week for episode 9. So I've been doing a lot of, what do you call it? What I'm doing right now. I've been watching a lot of podcasts on YouTube, and there's a few that I want to kind of point out, but I'm going to actually put more of a list for you here somewhere, because there's quite a few. Maybe I'll name them all, who knows. But let's see, the ones most recently is Kia Spot. I adore her. She's super sweet, super mellow. I love her so much. Another one is, I don't know if it's Ina Knits or Ina Knits. She's doing her hygge for the season again. She did it last year. She's doing it again this year. I really like that. Let's see. Chrissy with Snappy Stitches just posted again, and it's been a long time since I've seen her post a new one. So I haven't watched it yet. I'm getting to it, Chrissy. I love you. Who else? Who else can I point out? I just started watching Knitting Posse. They're very new. I think they've got maybe 4 or 5 episodes. Very new, but they kind of blew up and they're everywhere. I think they're adorable. Adorable. Still watching My Wool Mitten. And I'm watching, she's the lady with all the sheep. And she talks all about her farming escapades, mostly with her sheep and the weather and stuff like that. Sometimes she throws in some knitting and spinning, but mostly it's about her farm. Let's see, one that I just found recently, a few months ago, was Last Homely House by the Sea. I don't know if I've mentioned her before. And I'm literally binge watching everything. So this is from, I think I'm still like a year behind. But hers are really short. They're like, most of them are under 10 minutes. So I'm trying to get through them, but she keeps posting more, so I'm like still behind. But I really like her. She talks a lot about her chickens, and she's got a goose. She talks a lot about her garden. She does all different kinds of crafts, paper crafts, quilting, knitting, spinning, cooking. She does everything. Like, I want to be her. I just want to live her life. I love everything. She's a powerhouse. I just love her. Let's see, who else? There's so many, and again, I'm going to post like a list. I'm going to put up a list of a bunch of them. Mandarin. I know that there's another name, and I can't think of it right now, but it's on YouTube. It says Mandarins. I know she's known more popularly as something else, and I can't think of it. I just found another one called Freya's Fiber Knitting, and I literally just watched the first episode of her. She's only got a handful of episodes, so I just watched the first one of her today, right before I started this. There's Woolly Bean, Stitched in Sweden, Marina Skua. I adore her. She is super cute. And I actually bought some of her yarn because I just loved her. I just had to get some of her yarn. So I did that. Hey Brownberry. Stitching Over the Days. That's the name of the podcast, Stitching Over the Days. I am in love with this woman. She just makes the most beautiful and intricate color work projects. Just amazing. She uses, I think she's been knitting, I can't remember the name of the book, but Tudor Rose or something. But basically, knitting sweaters, garments that are based on the women of the Tudor era. She just knits the most perfect versions of those patterns, and she's just adorable. I love watching her podcast because she's just, the way that she pairs everything. She does sewing as well, so she sews a lot of her own tops and skirts. I just love her. I love watching her. Knitting Annihilator. Congratulations to her. She just had a baby. Little tiny baby. It was adorable. She did Vlogtober, and she literally did that while having her baby. It was amazing. So we got to see this little guy. She was pregnant when she started Vlogtober. Did I say Vlogmas? Vlogtober. So she literally started Vlogtober, big pregnant, in the middle of it, or early on actually in the Vlogtober. She had her baby. Adorable, adorable, adorable. I love her. I just found another one that I haven't started watching yet, but Knitting Nurse. Very cool. That looks interesting, and there's not very many on there. I think there's maybe 5 or 6 on that one as well. Yeah. There's a lot. Smell Great Guy. I love him to death. I love him. He has the sweetest personality. I love him. He does diamond painting. He does knitting. I don't think he crochets. If he does, oh, maybe he does. I know he does a lot of hats. He's got his own Ross hat pattern. I think he started making washcloths. He's constantly doing unboxings, and I'm just like, bro, I love this. I love watching you open stuff. He's great. Yards of Happiness is another one that I have just started. There's a lot. A Wooden Nest, Dogwood Knits, Driftless Knitting, Bumble Stitches, Aquila, I don't know if it's Aquila or Aquila. Dahun, a lefty knitter. I went to that one because I'm left-handed. No, I don't knit backwards, but I do knit continental. But I'm left-handed. I had to watch her. Who else? Fiber Tales, Woolapick, Quirky Monday Craftcast. Adore her. She's sweet. That's all on that page. Saratoga Knitting, super lovely. The Wee So and So. I love her accent so much, and she's just adorable. She gets herself to giggling, and it makes me giggle, and I'm super happy. Toad Hollow, Crafty Toads. I love them. They are just a pair of funny sisters that they make me laugh. They make me laugh, and I love their yarn. I haven't yet bought their yarn, but I'm gonna. Sweet Lavender, a lovely yarn. Little Big Knits, I think I'm a little bit behind on hers. I think I've got like 2 that I gotta watch. In a Pickle Knitting. I love her. And I want to buy all of the children's books that she always talks about. I talked about Not Enough Yarn with Leslie. Love her. Flame and Fiber. So many, and I'm quite behind because I don't only just watch the knitting podcasts. I also watch a few, they're called reactors, and they listen to music. Sometimes it's video games, trailers of movies, stuff like that. They would just react to them. But mostly for the music is what I do, because as soon as a new reactor comes up, people just start hounding them to react to Pentatonics and Avi Kaplan, and I am there for it because I want everybody to fall in love with Pentatonics and Avi Kaplan as much as I do. So seeing them just be amazed by these people just fills my heart. I'm like, yep, they're that good. Yeah, I'm a big fan. So whenever I see people really appreciate their talents, it makes me, I feel like a proud mom. It's weird. I know. So that's what I've been doing lately, just trying to catch up on a lot of podcasts. I'm sitting here rambling on, and you've got some Thanksgiving things to get to. Of course, you're probably not watching this on Thanksgiving because you are getting to all of those things. So whenever you're watching me, thank you for stopping by. I'm so happy to see you. So happy that you're wanting to spend some time listening to me ramble on. I really hope that you all are safe. We had a lot of snow here in New Mexico, and being basically a desert state, we're not used to this much snow, and there's a lot of people like me who are not the perfect inclement weather drivers, which is why I'm staying home today. But wherever you are, I hope you're safe. I hope you're warm. If you happen to be in the southern hemisphere, I hope you're enjoying your beautiful weather, because I'm jealous. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I hope I see you again next time. I promise next time my hair. Okay, no, I don't promise. But I will promise to try to remember to do something with my hair. But today was literally a lazy day. I have no one here, nothing else to do besides this and knit. I didn't feel like I wanted to dress up. This is me all the time. So I will see you next time, and thank you for stopping by. Happy Thanksgiving. Even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving in your country, happy Thanksgiving, because I'm thankful for you anyway. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.